So I think this is probably one of the biggest questions that people have when it comes to, I want to say, like, tech, is will AI take over my tech job? Which I have a pretty interesting answer of at least my opinion and what I think about it. Of course, I could be wrong or I could be right. And this could kind of apply to any type of tech position, but I'm going to simply refer this to IT support because a lot of people tend to use IT support as an example. The same thing with web development. I know they use software engineers, but because I don't really work in that field, the most I could really say in a generalized statement, I think would really be that I believe these AI positions are only going to just change the way the job performs. I don't think it means that we aren't going to have entry-level positions, or we aren't going to have be like these type of jobs are just going to be completely gone, meaning people are getting fired and stuff like that. I think truly what is going to be happening is that there may be some layoffs, and I think it's going to only be layoffs just simply because some people aren't going to have improved their skill wise, or they're only used to doing certain things. And so when it finally comes to being like, okay, you have these new tasks to do because AI can actually do this, then they're gonna just fire you because you didn't really learn anything new, which is kind of some things that have been like, this has been happening already. Sorry, I gotta clear my throat. But also too, with IT, a lot of people tend to say that there won't be any help desk positions because they'll just have AI automated calls. If we really think about it, how many times do we all get super frustrated with an AI automated call? It's not the best, it's not perfected, and I believe there's still going to be enough people to do that. And on top of that, I think it's just gonna, honestly, like I've already stated for all the positions, is that it's just going to change a bit of what the job already was, in my opinion. I think, for instance, maybe in this is, I'm just kind of throwing stuff out there, probably wouldn't be like realistic, but let's say for the help desk position that they do have AI automated calls, maybe you're going to automate the AI. So now the AI is necessarily taking the call, but you're still doing the work behind it of trying to actually fix the PC. So instead of making the phone call, you're just kind of handling that behind the scene work, which could be true, could be false. But the point is that there's still going to be, I guess, entry level positions. I just don't think it's going to have the same, exact stuff that you've done previously. Same thing with web dev. A lot of web dev and a little bit of software engineering too, is a lot of it is, I feel like, is coding. So in my head, it's like, if you're coding, right, and you're realizing, okay, this is what my current job is, I'm just coding a lot. Yeah, we have AI tools that now could code a lot of the stuff that we are coding, and that can actually write code or just do it without really writing code, right? They could just make the website, or what I'm getting at. But let's say specifically they could write the code. In the end, all that means is that for web development and software engineering, your job is going to change from being the writers of the code to possibly becoming the debugger of the code, right? Maybe you're looking over the code now, or maybe you are correcting the code. At this point, if y'all ask ChatGPT or any type of AI machinery, if you sit there and you ask them anything to give you JS, to give you HTML, CSS, the more you get further down giving them instructions, the worse they get, and then they start to forget a lot of the stuff that they've already written. So then now they're just going in a loop, like not really understanding what you're looking for, what you're asking for. That's where you will step in as a human, is to just make sure that you can still translate that client's idea, for web dev specifically, into what they want. And then obviously for software engineering, it would be whatever software engineers do. I do know it has to do with coding as well, but maybe AI could do just so much with the coding, and then you would have to be there to really do the rest. And it's not necessarily coding, it's more fixing and then just using AI. At the end of the day, it's just going to really be a tool to get things done a little bit faster, and your job just changes a lot more. So when you focus on what that change will be, and you focus on that being like, okay, so if I'm going to now have to be more of a debugger, maybe instead of learning how to code more often, you're probably learning more how to debug, which I personally think, if you're going to try to be a good debugger, you should know how to code, because that's normally what I tell people. some people, they don't really be listening, but I'd be like, listen, get into vanilla code and then eventually use some frameworks, and at the end of the day, by the time it comes to debugging, you're gonna see it right there because you actually know how to code it. But some people think otherwise, and I think you could do it the other way around, where you just kind of just start immediately on the debugging side of things. But it really just depends on how you work as a person. But with IT support as well, you know, even like I said, with the help desk position being gone, it's like in the end, especially with IT infrastructure or just hands-on hardware repairs, we're not about to have no robot take apart a computer and then put it together or build custom PCs. Like at the end of the day, that type of IT work will always be needed, or hands-on IT work will always be needed. So to say AI is probably going to end up taking over it, I think comes off a little bit like, you know, foolish, because it's always going to be needed, man. There's always going to need to be people who fix those things and troubleshoot those things. And I'm not saying AI can't find a way in, but just also pay attention to where AI can't find a way in. Like, there's just certain things that it wouldn't make sense. The same way with cybersecurity, there's no way that we're going to entrust an AI operator to make sure things are secure. And even if we did, it would probably be as a SOC analysis, which would just be one of the entry-level positions, but there would still need to be someone there. There's always going to need to be someone. The best thing I like to say too, especially if you're someone who's more focused on in IT, for instance, we have the Waymos, I think is how you pronounce it, which is the self-driving cars in California. For instance, those self-driving cars actually are on a network. So if you are on doing networking engineering, or I think cloud network engineering, I forgot what it's called, but like if you're working with whatever network they are on, then you still would have a position even though it's an AI self-automated driving car. Or even if you learn AI automation, specifically wanting to focus on the network side of things, which is similar to IT support, it's like you're literally specializing in things that actually really need the use of AI and will actually work with the use of AI. And I think people just underestimate that, especially when it comes to IT. Let's say they make robots, right? At the end of the day, if these robots start malfunctioning in their technology, they're going to have IT specialists in some format, probably mixed with some maintenance people as well. But in a way, it could kind of just be IT work at the same time because you're fixing technology. Like there's just always going to be a position for people. And I honestly think people don't get it, man, that the tech industry, the more AI grows, I think the more the tech industry is actually going to grow. In that sense, I think there's going to be more like jobs. There might even be more new jobs, like different type of positions, just because of AI entering the picture. And I think people are miscalculating, they're misunderstanding, especially with the fact that there are being so much layoffs in different sectors of tech. But what we got to understand is a lot of it is budget cuts, because they are trying to implement AI. And with those budget cuts, like they're going to need a budget to add AI, and they're going to need to see, if I add AI, is it going to pay me more than just if I had people? And then if that happens, then eventually they're going to start to rehire people to manage those things, because now they're probably going to get paid way more to where they could actually afford it, and they're still making more money than they're giving out, right? So they have to make sure things just run smoothly. So those are budget cuts, right? And then you have just some, like I said, some people who are getting laid off who didn't continue to learn. I've seen plenty of people hop on YouTube and say that. They'll say, you know, I was in that company and I just didn't improve. I didn't continue learning. I didn't try to climb up. And so they let them go because it just made sense for the budget cut. Because why would they need you if all you were doing was this basic stuff? You didn't learn nothing. Not saying that everything is basic, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? So I honestly don't think AI is going to take over tech. I don't think AI is going to like magically just wipe out all these technicians. I think it's really saddening that people do think that, and I feel bad for the people who actually got caught up in that mess and probably stopped learning. I ran into plenty of people who've told me like, oh, I stopped learning web dev, or I didn't take the IT route because of so and so. And I'm like, damn, like those people are going to regret it when they realize if they just continued now and in the future when things start to spike, they're going to regret it. They're going to regret it. And it's not that they can't just hop back onto that path, but it's like you could have just been so much more further if you stuck to the tech. And yeah, I think that's honestly all I really had to say. And then also too with IT support. Actually, no, I'm gonna make another video for that one. Actually, I'll make it right now. Shoot. But I'll be catching you on the next one though. I hope you ended up enjoying this video. Make sure you end up leaving a like, comment, and subscribe. Sorry that I keep looking at myself. I just want to make sure that I'm like looking like all right in the camera, because especially I'm in the parking lot, everybody can kind of see me on camera, so it's a little nerve-wracking. But definitely make sure you hit that like button, you hit that subscribe button. Come join me on this journey. We are on the road to 2,000 subscribers, and always remember that this YouTube channel is about documenting me becoming who I want to become. It could be about anything, or just me learning anything that I want to learn. The goal is to hopefully inspire and motivate other people to know that you can learn and you can become whatever you put your mind to. Nothing is too far out of reach, and the people that try to make you feel like that, don't allow them to, because you could get there just as much as the next person. You just got to keep putting in the work, stay consistent, work hard. Love y'all. Catch you on the next one. Deuces.